Hi, my name is Ruth Moto. For almost a decade now, I've been doing everything design, from fashion design, furniture design, and now interior design. I'm super excited to bring you on this journey, even as we dive into design conversation with Ruth. We'll look at everything from residential, building, construction, and commercial design. So jump right in. We spend a lot of time in our offices, and this can bring a strain to our mental health as well as our physical health. That's why it's very important that we should look at the furniture that we sit in, or the desks that we work on, because that is what we interact with every single day. And if the furniture we're sitting on is not the right furniture for us, that can bring a lot of backache, shoulder ache, neck ache, or just a lot of stress. Hi, my name is Ruth Moto, and welcome to Design Conversations with Ruth, Commercial Design. On this episode, we're going to be looking at what furniture do we have in our offices, and is it the right furniture for us? But not only that, what is the process in which we're able to procure the right furniture, maintain it, and also be able to be sustainable around everything that we work with? So, the number one thing that we have to look at when it comes to the furniture that we have in our workspace is understanding the workspace ergonomics. Ergonomics is basically understanding what is it that we work with to be able to produce what we produce. Most of the times when people in the organization are designing their spaces, they're usually designing their spaces according to the products that they produce or the service that they give, and not necessarily for the users who are occupying that space. So just imagine you have brilliant people in your organization, but they sit on very sloppy chairs. Do you think they're going to be effective and productive in that space? No. But when you start the whole process with the user in mind, what happens is you are thinking about George. When George walks into the office, where does he sit? Does he have enough natural light coming in? How is his relationship between his desk, his computer, his chair? When I ask George for a report, is he able to produce it in the amount of time that I need? Where does he put his folders? How does he work from where he sits with his neighbor? Samuel, maybe. When you look at all that relationship and you understand that a person needs to sit in a certain way, have their computer in a certain light, be able to produce work in a certain time frame, and you know that what you're giving to them helps them become effective, then you're looking at the workplace ergonomics. So, workplace ergonomics is basically the science of fitting in the user into the workspace so that they can be efficient and they can be productive. Now that we understand those big words around our workspace, the question now comes in, how do we buy furniture, right? Do you just walk into a shop and you say, oh, today I have 8 employees at my workplace, or I have 500 employees at my workplace and I need 18 desks? Not exactly. What you start with is understanding what is the sector that you're working in. There are different sectors, as we had looked at in previous episodes when it comes to commercial design. You have the creative and innovation space, you have the government agencies, you have big corporations, you have hospitality. And it's not the same type of furniture that you'd find in those spaces. So take time to understand. Let's take it that you are in the hospitality space. What type of furniture do you need? What is the relationship that your guests will have as they walk in? Not only your guests, but who are the other key players in this space? You have your staff, you have other guests who are not day-in guests, but people who sleep in. So what are the ergonomics that surround all that? When you understand that, then you're able to plan well. And you know, this is the furniture that I need. For the person who sits at the reception, for example, the type of chair that I'll bring in for them, it will need to give them a certain level of comfort. How is the back? What is the relationship that the back has when they sit and they're operating on their desks? For my guest who is sleeping, what is the relationship with the bed that they're sleeping in? If they need to hang something, what is that relationship? When you understand your sector very well and you understand the ergonomics around that, it becomes much easier for you then to plan what type of furniture you need. When you dig in, you'll be able to also see the type of standards that you need around that place. When you have invested time in now understanding the furniture that you need for the particular sector that you operate in, the next thing that you have to look at is warranty. I know it's very easy to just be like, we need this number of beds or this number of chairs or this number of desks or this number of tables if we're cutting or whatever work we're doing. And the simplest thing is to just look for the cheapest, right? I know this is a bit shaky, but most of the times it's the 3 quotations thing. Let's go with the cheapest. No, sometimes what is cheap is really expensive because you can get something and yes, it's cheap, but it's not helping you with your long-term goals. So make sure you invest in furniture that will give you a certain level of warranty so that if anything happens with your furniture, you can easily go back and the organization you bought from or the firm you bought from is able to fix those things. The second thing, after you've looked at the warranty, is what are the things that we need to do to maintain this furniture? So number one would be if you get, for example, a desk that is made out of board or that is made out of wood, how do you use the surfaces? So it would be a thing of doing education with your staff around how to use the furniture they have. When you have a desk, instead of just putting your water, your tea, your juice, use a coaster. Just put a little coaster and make sure you use that. What that does is that it helps you with the surfaces not getting scratched easily because that becomes a cost. The other thing is education around seat adjustments, right? Because of how the human body is made. They're different. There's a short person, there's a tall person. And these days, you have a lot of chairs that will come, not only chairs, but furniture that will come in adjustable heights. Have conversation with your staff and help them understand what it takes to be able to adjust those heights. You also need to be able to look at furniture that is breathable. Sometimes you'd find that the workspace office is slightly small and maybe there's ventilation issues. But then when you don't have breathable furniture, it's not just uncomfortable for the person who is sitting. It's also just cluttered in the entire room. So you don't want a person to walk in, the room is stuffy, and also where they're sitting is stuffy. Look at the best type of chairs or furniture that gives you that extra ventilation. And then after you've done this whole process, you have figured out all the ergonomics around the furniture that you need. You have figured out the warranty and also the organizations that are going to supply you with this furniture. You've looked at maintenance and you've looked at all the things that you need. Is it breathable furniture? Is it upholstered furniture? Are we cleaning it well? Are we maintaining it well? You also have to look at the type of investment that you're putting in. How much money are we putting into this activity? And what does it translate to over time? This investment is not only about the money, but it also comes into not circulation. What's the word I'm looking for? Sustainability and recycling. I've worked with a number of organizations around the maintenance of their furniture for almost a decade now. And you'd find that a number of people want to throw away furniture, but it's small little things that can be reworked on. So it can be a thing of like, we can change the upholstery, and instead of just using normal fabric, use high performance fabric. It could be just screwing up the little screws that are wobbly, or it could be just adding oil. So instead of throwing away things and wanting to buy, what are the things that you need to look into in order to be able to maintain this furniture? So as a wrap up to this furniture conversation, I would say just dig deep, right? Look at the sector that you work in and look at the needs. What are the needs of the users who are in it? And then look at the ways that you could actually recycle and participate in this sustainability. You don't always have to buy new furniture every time you see something break down. Just use the right tools to fix it, and then you can have proper furniture that looks as good as new and in your brand aesthetics as well. So thank you so much for joining me on this Design Conversations with Ruth, as we've explored everything around the furniture that you have and if it's the right furniture for you. So follow me on YouTube, Ruth Motor, and on other social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, Spaces at My Perfect Stitch. Or you can go to our website, which is www.myperfectstitch.co. See you soon on the next episode of Design Conversations with Ruth. Thank you.